After 2 weekends at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi, now we come to the Dubai Autodrome for round 3 of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship 2024. It's already been an action-packed start to the season with, for my money, 3 title contenders: Taylor Barnard, Teofil Nile and championship leader Tuukka Taponen. Martinius Stenson is here for one more race weekend, so let's see how much of an impact he'll make in the title battle as we head into race 1. As we enter the 3rd weekend of the season, we switch to the Dubai Autodrome circuit in the heart of Motor City. It's a very different challenge for the drivers as the track celebrates 20 years of competition. So, who's who and how will they fare? At the top of the team standings is Race GP with championship leaders Tuukka Taponen and Martinius Stenson still looking quick. But Zachary David will want to return to the podium this weekend, and Jessica Resquedo continues to show strong progress each round. PHM AIX have work to do to catch the leaders, in particular with Taylor Barnard having a tough outing last time. But he and teammates Tezanapol Ntefuvuzak, Liuruki and Brando Badua are quick when the opportunity is presented to them, so it could be a mini renaissance here in Dubai. Storming up from 5th to 3rd are Santalog, still in their maiden campaign in Formula Regional here in the Middle East. Teofil Nile is now up to speed and looking racy for more victories, but he now has 2 new teammates for the season: Noah Stromsted of Denmark and Jose Garcias of Mexico. The Pinnacle squad are still looking strong, thanks to the efforts of Mari Boya. But Alexander Abkasava has been quicker than many expected, Giovanni Mascio is very much improved from last year, and Finley Green is readapting to motorsport quite rapidly, so it's not just a one-man show. There's been a lot of head-scratching at the Mumbai Falcons, as the star prodigies Ugo Chukwu, James Wharton, Rafael Kamara and Arvid Lindblad have not exactly been singing from the hymn book of fortune, but the team has solid data and success on the Dubai Autodrome, so expect a turnaround imminently. Apparently, round 3 is the round where MP Motorsport will truly launch off the blocks. So for Nikhil Bora, Emo Fittipaldi Jr. and Bruno Del Pino, that would be more than a slight relief. They are joined from this weekend by British talent Isaac Braschi, who replaces Valerio Rinicella. XL Motorsport only took 2 weekends to grab points for the first time, so now that Noah Lyle and Yaroslav Veselaho have sorted out the early gremlins, it appears both drivers have the potential for more. With one pressure off comes another. How many points over the year can they now score? Meanwhile, Evans GP came so close to scoring they could almost taste the pain of it all. But clearly John Bennett and Costa Taparis have what it takes to get the job done. If only the issues coming into practice and qualifying can be ironed out, then you'll see the black and blue machines in fine form. We can only reiterate the progression that R&B Racing have made in relation to last season, as their speed is definitely better. Guy Ujia could well grab a point or 2 before season's end, and as for Wang Zhongwei, there's definitely more to do and to learn, but the team has the resolve to push for more. After the 2 races at Yas Marina, we now come to Dubai Autodrome and the championship battle is alive and kicking. The man who leads Formula Regional Middle East is Tuukka Taponen from Finland of Race GP. Tuukka, I'm not entirely sure anybody thought after 2 race weekends you would be leading with such a decent and comfortable margin. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's been amazing so far. I think neither the team believed that we could be so strong here. I think they have done a really great job last winter to see what went wrong last year, and we were really ready for this season, and so far it's been amazing.
Now, in between the races you had a little bit of time off. I hear that you went back to Maranello. You actually ended up with the kickoff over in Italy with a little bit of karting. Is it nice to go back to your roots?
Yeah, it was a bit difficult at the beginning because 1 year ago I did last time the karting, so it was a bit tough at the beginning, but then got better every time, and I think at the end I was also quick there.
So tell me, what exactly is life like for those who obviously dream of, being part of the Ferrari culture? You've now been living in Maranello for a year. What is the lifestyle like? What's it like being part of the Ferrari family?
It's a really good. They push you every day. They push you to do different things, which is a good, because sometimes when you do things by yourself, you don't want to do them, but they really push you, so you basically have to do, which is completely fine. And they support really much, and it's been an amazing first year. Now we are starting the 2nd year, and I'm gonna do even more work this year, and obviously we need to get a good result to compete well, and yeah, we see how it goes this year.
And of course next year you're going to have a new member of the Ferrari family joining you, who's a 7-time world champion. I'm guessing you are as surprised at the news as everybody has been.
Yeah, it was completely shocked news. I was not expecting at all, But I mean, maybe we can learn something from him, and for sure also Charles can learn from him because he's such a good driver.
So let's come back to the racing here in the Middle East. Obviously, with that gap now, with that cushion, there's a little bit of security, but moving to the Dubai Autodrome, you had some great races here last year. How confident are you that you can extend the gap? How confident are you that the others are not quite going to be able to catch you?
Of course, it's a new category, so the things are different. We need to find a good setup also here and a good solution to be quick as a team. We just finished the first session. At least it went quite well for the team. And yeah, I'm not thinking about championship. I just go race by race. I try to stay consistent all the time. To score points, it's important, and of course to get as much laps as possible for the European Championship.
I'll tell you another man in your team who isn't thinking about the championship, Martinius Stenzorn, who isn't obviously going to be here after this weekend. Has his urgency to win races and do whatever it takes to do that, how big a difficulty has that been for you focusing across all 5 weekends? He obviously has a different agenda. Is there any tension? Is there any difficulties there?
Yeah, I mean, he has done 1 season in Freka already. Also, he was last year here. So he knows the trucks quite well. He is straight on it, and it's a good data for sure for me. Also, we had some good battles in Abu Dhabi, and it was nice to race with him. He can take some risks, and of course, it's a good to battle with him, and he's a good driver as well. So, as I say, the data is important in Formula, so I can get really good data from him and to improve myself.
We've learnt in the past that winning these championships is very much about staying in the top 5 as much as humanly possible. Is that really your focus now, your agenda? You know, the more times you can be in the top 5, the more likely it is that you can maintain the lead.
I mean, I don't think about the championship too much. I go race by race, and then I just try to score points, let's say. It's good to score always points, even you are not fighting maybe for the championship, but in my case I'm fighting for it. So I mean, podiums, wins, obviously they are super cool, but the points are also really important.
Fantastic. Well, we wish you all the best. We hope it's going to continue to just elevate and elevate more as the season goes. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Once more, unto the breach, dear friends. Once more, we battle and race here at the Formula Regional Middle East Championship as we continue on the journey, having come from coming from the Yas Marina circuit here into the Dubai Autodrome. It's going to be a really exciting battle now as we gear ourselves up ready for the 3rd round of the championship. And after the previous F4 UAE race, it's definitely gearing ourselves up for another exciting battle out on the course as we are in for another exciting encounter. Jake Sanson with you once again as we have plenty of excitement and drama ahead of us. Why? Because already there's been plenty in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship for 2024. We already have a 3-driver battle for the title as far as my money is concerned, and it's going to be between Tuukka Tapanen, Taylor Barnard and Teofil Nal. For those who are looking at the championship standings and going, hang on a minute, you've missed out Martinius Stenzorn. Well, no, I intentionally left him out of the title fight because he is 2nd in the points at the moment, yes, but this is due to be his final round at the circuit before he returns back home to Europe. Unless, of course, he decides to make a last-minute decision and think, you know what, I can win this championship, so I'm going to go for it. But the plan is for him to do only the first 3 races, so he will hopefully at the end of this particular round think, well, actually, I'll change my mind. But if that's not the case, then this could be the final 3 races of the campaign that we will see from him. It's going to be a tricky one for him, to be fair, actually. The Norwegian will be starting this race from 5th on the starting grid with 2 of his 3 title protagonists ahead of him on the start line. But this is a fascinating circuit, this one, the Dubai Autodrome, a very challenging race circuit. This is the 20th year of full-time competition. The circuit actually opened in October 2004 and has been magnificent ever since. It's probably one of the most underrated race circuits on the planet. Drivers love it, and it's kind of got a miniature nickname, the roller coaster. It is a fabulous race circuit and a wonderful part of the world as well, in downtown Motor City, in almost the heart of the Dubai city, certainly not too far away from the world's tallest building, the Burj Al Khalifa. And it's a fabulous race circuit, a fabulous city, and already building a strong heritage and strong history in the world of motorsport. The 21st century has definitely come alive for motor racing in the United Arab Emirates, and this is a brilliant race circuit to go to battle on. Taylor Barnard, who was looking so destitute and miserable yesterday after a very difficult run in time qualifying in the previous weekend. Here they had all sorts of mechanical difficulties, and they looked like they came back yesterday. He had an engine failure in practice, and he was quite open and honest with me and said, "Do you know what? It's looking like it's going to be a miserable weekend. We're not going to be anywhere near competitive as we deserve to be, and I'm frightened that I've already lost the championship." Wakes up this morning, gets into the car, boom, pole position. That's Taylor Barnard all over. He always keeps you guessing, and he always keeps you entertained. So suddenly, this weekend has come back to Taylor Barnard, but he's got to be hoping he's got enough room in that cockpit for a lucky rabbit's foot, because they do not want the problems that emerged in Yas Marina 2 weeks ago to come back. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, yep, that is a Mumbai Falcon. It's Rafael Camara. They have bounced back into contention once again, and with their most experienced driver, Rafael Camara, they are right back to prominence. And the Brazilian driver is an exceptional talent. He really is one to watch. He's had an awful lot of support over the last couple of seasons. He's part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. He's made good friends with Felipe Massa, the former Ferrari driver in Formula One. And he has so much support from back home in Brazil. He's definitely a potential future Grand Prix driver in the making. Third on the grid, though, is the man who leads this championship, just tucked up behind Taylor Barnard, and that is Tuukka Tapanen, the Finnish driver, the Tiger, as he is known back home in Scandinavia. And what an opportunity this is for him and the Race GP team, who were not expecting to be so strong out of the blocks. You heard from him in our pre-show build-up. And a fabulous run from Tapanen. There's so many fans for him at the moment, and he's so exciting as a prospect for the sport. It's been great to hear how he's been enjoying himself in between races. He went back to Maranello for what they call the kickoff, and jumped himself back into a kart for the first time in almost a year. I'm sure that didn't take him long at all to be competitive. Alongside him on the grid is Mari Boya, the man who's been racing in Formula 3 and Euro Cup 3 over the course of 2023, has returned to Formula Regional, was a race winner last year on this very circuit, so he knows how to win on this track. Watch out for him. He could well bank another victory before the season's end. Martinius Stenzon, we talked about him. He's lining up 5th on the grid for this one, alongside the American ace Ugo Chukwu, who is part of the McLaren Young Driver program. He's there in his Mumbai Falcon in 6th on the starting grid. Brando Badua is back to his best as well, 7th on the starting grid for him, the Italian driver who is the son of the former Ferrari F1 test driver Luca Badua, who is here. And then Tzanopol Intrafivazak, the PHM AIX teammate, he is there in 8th position on the starting grid. The team looking so much stronger here in Dubai. 9th position on the grid for Nikhil Bora and his teammate Bruno Del Pino. MP Motorsport are finally getting back to what they're good at, running at the sharp end of the field and looking for more exciting battles to come. It's going to be a really interesting situation for all of the competition. There's only a couple of grid penalties that are worth talking about that were handed out. Luruki was given a 5-place grid penalty from race 1 at round 2, and also a 3-place grid penalty going the way of the number 99 car. That is Giovanni Mascio, again for a race 1 incident at round 2. So we go on to the formation lap, and let's talk you through the starting grid in full. It's Taylor Barnard and Rafael Camara on the front row of the starting grid, then Tuukka Tapanen and Mari Boya, Martinius Stenzon and Ugo Chukwu, from Brando Badua and Tzanopol Intrafivazak. Nikhil Bora is alongside Bruno Del Pino. James Wharton lines up 11th on the grid. Difficult qualifying for him alongside the Frenchman Théophile Nal for Santalok Racing, one of the championship contenders and very much struggling on this occasion. Zachary David looking for another podium in 13th on the grid. His teammate Jesse Cadasquedo is alongside him. Then for the Evans GP team, it is Costa Taparis alongside the new boy Noah Stromsted of Denmark, who has come into the Santalok Racing team for the rest of the season. Noah Lyle, the Australian, is 17th on the starting grid for XL Motorsport. He's alongside Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., who lines up 18th on the starting grid for MP Motorsport. 19th on the grid is another new driver. That is the Mexican Jose Garcias, who was racing in Euro Cup 3 last year. He has come into the Santalok Racing team, and he is lining up alongside a very fed up and very irritated Arvid Lindblad, the Red Bull Junior driver. I've never seen him looking so annoyed. He's having a very difficult time of it in terms of one-lap pace, and it looks like it's just continuing here at Dubai Autodrome. 21st on the grid is the other new face. That is Isaac Barashi, who has come into the MP Motorsport team, replacing Valerio Menicella. And then we have John Bennett for the Evans GP team. He's struggled in qualifying, manages only to line up 22nd on the grid. Then Liu Ruqi, the Chinese driver, lines up 23rd on the grid alongside Alexander Abkasava, the young Kazakhstani driver. He lines up there for Pinnacle in 24th. Then Yaroslav Bezalaho, the Ukrainian driver. He is going to be on the grid for Excel in 25th. Gao Yuchia, the Chinese driver, lines up 26th on the grid, just in front of Giovanni Mascio, who obviously takes that grid penalty and lines up 27th on the grid. And then 28th and last is Wang Shengwei, the Chinese driver, who will put himself on the outside of the 14th row of the grid. So the 28 cars and drivers ready in position. And for Taylor Barnard, who probably thought yesterday that his chances of winning the championship are long gone, the guys at PHM AIX have done an amazing amount of homework overnight. They did a lot of work, basically taking the cars completely to pieces, putting them back together again, figuring out where the problems were, and rebooting. And it really does show you the resurgence and the resolve of PHM. They've completely transformed since the merger of AIX Investment Group. They've come in, they want to win, they are determined, they're passionate, they want to win races together, and there just seems to be a complete injection of enthusiasm and excitement in this operation for the 2024 season and beyond. I think no matter what championship you're going to be watching from PHM AIX this year, whether it be an F2, F3, Formula Regional, F4, these guys are going to be bombastic, they're going to be very hard working, and they're going to be exceptionally exciting to watch. And Taylor Barnard, very much the keyhole of that at the beginning of their season in 2024, hoping to try and get some of that deficit back from Tuukka Tarpanen. Of course, at this point in proceedings, after the difficulties, there is a bit of a deficit. He's got to find 31 points over Tuukka Tarpanen over the course of the season. But having said that, if he beats Tuukka Tarpanen in every race this year, by coming home first with Tarpanen in second, he will win the championship. So there's still plenty to do. You've got to remember that there's still 9 races remaining and 25 points per race. So you don't need to be an idiot to do the math to know that this championship is still very wide open indeed. There's still 225 points left on the table. So it could still go anybody's way. The last couple of cars getting themselves into position. Wang Shengwei just positioning himself ready for a strong charge forward, and we are ready to see what this battle will give us. Taylor Barnard, Rafael Kamara, Tuukka Tarpanen, Mari Boya, Martinius Stenzon, Ugo Ugachukwu, Brandon Badua, Tzanapol Nintafivazak, Nikhil Bora, and Bruno Del Pino ready in position. The green flag flies at the back of the grid. Who's going to get to the first corner first? Will it be Taylor Barnard? Will it be Rafael Kamara? Could somebody else make a launch? Let's race at Dubai Autodrome. A good start from Tuukka Tarpanen, not the best of starts from Kamara by the look of it. So Tarpanen's going to come through to second place past the Brazilian. Marty Boyer getting a good run as well. And they're going to be side by side. Tarpanen's going to come in on the far side for Taylor Barnard. Can he take the lead round the outside? He's going for it. They're going to be side by side. Barnard will not let him have it. It's going to be Tarpanen that has to surrender it. So Barnard gets through into the lead. Couple of drivers running wide already as they work their way through the first couple of corners of this sector. But it's Taylor Barnard versus Tuukka Tarpanen, and Barnard has held on in front of the Finn. Terrific stuff from Barnard, feisty and fighting as you like. Kamara has to slip all the way down to 4th position, unfortunately, behind the Spaniard Marty Boyer. So as they work their way through the first couple of corners, looks like Brandon Badua going a little bit wide, but out in front, Barnard and Tarpanen have renewed their battle, and it's Taylor Barnard from Tuukka Tarpanen. He holds it at the moment as he squirts his way onto the back straight, and a little bit of a run wide from one of the Mumbai Falcons in the background. But Tarpanen and Barnard are going to go to battle. Excellent stuff. What an opening start to this race. Barnard trying to shake off Tarpanen. He's going for it again. Why not? If he's got the car underneath him to go for it, he may as well challenge Taylor Barnard. And he's got a good exit off the turn. He's still going to push him to every inch he's got. Barnard having to run over the curves. Now he's got to park the car in the middle of the road. He cannot give Tarpanen any space. He's got to park it in the middle of the apex. Get across the road. Make sure that Tarpanen can't get the switcheroo. Nicely handled from Barnard, but Tarpanen the Tiger is coming straight back at him. Here he goes. Duncan the Tiger looking for the move. Barnard is going to be married to the inside line. What an opening lap this is. Tarpanen's going to go the long way round. Can he hold it? No, Barnard's going to hold the inside line. Tarpanen will then come back on the switch, hoping to go slow in, fast out. But Barnard holds him again. Excellent work from the two of them. Marty Boyer still there in third position. Rafael Kamara tucking in behind in fourth place as well. And in fifth, that is Martinius Stenzorn. This is already an electrifying start to this race as Barnard leads Tarpanen, Boyer, Kamara and Stenzorn. Out of the final turn, there's already a couple of battles. A couple of drivers going a bit wide. Barnard trying to shake off Tarpanen from the toe. In sixth position, that is Nikhil Bora. He's made a terrific start for MP. Then it's Ugachukwu, Badua, Interfubazak, Wharton, Niall, Delpino, David, Lyle, Toparis and Stromsted. Arvid Lindblad's made up some places as Teofil Niall gets the move on the inside of James Wharton. That's for P10 and the final point as well as the reverse grid pole. Costa Taparis battling away with Noah Stromsted, the new boy, the Danish driver for Santalok. Arvid Lindblad is the one behind him in the Red Bull colours. Then Garfias, Bennett, Fittipaldi Jr., Karashkedo. Then we've got in behind Ricky Liu, and then Abkasava, Barashi, Gao, Mashio, Vesalaho and Wang. What a start! Absolutely brilliant opening lap to the race, and up in the air goes Martinius Stenzorn as he goes on the curb. He would have felt that when he came back to land. So Barnard and Tarpanen. Great battle on the opening lap. Now they've got to settle in. Tarpanen's still got to make sure he's got something. Kamara has a look at Boyer. That was brave. Just to try and have a look to see maybe if Marty Boyer was vulnerable. Also got to remind the Spaniard that he's there. He does not want to let him get away. But Marty Boyer hoping to bank some more points on the board for Pinnacle. Good opener to this race so far. Marty Boyer, of course, a race winner on the Dubai Autodrome in last year's Formula Regional Middle East Championship. Last year was pretty much one-way traffic for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who of course races in Formula 2 this year, and he's already being talked about as a future replacement for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. That's where he was able to build his legacy, here in Dubai and down the road in Yas Marina, as well as of course the Kuwait Motor Town circuit last year where he was so strong. This is going to be an intense battle for Mumbai Falcons to get themselves back on the podium, never mind to go for the win, because Rafael Kamara and Marty Boyer know each other's tricks of old, but it's not going to be easy to pick out a winner between the two of them. Stenzorn in fifth. Bora is still there in sixth position. Seventh place, Ugachukwu, not quite able to match Bora on lap pace at the moment. Then the two PHM AIX cars of the Italian Brando Badua and the Thai starters Annabelle and the Vubazak. Still some battles in the mid-pack. Perfectly clean start, I have to say. We didn't have the safety car appearing in the first two laps, which is always a good sign. Hopefully we're just going to get a rip-roaring race rather than modus interruptus. So there is Taparis, still trying to take on the Santalok car of Jose Garfias in front. And that's actually John Bennett trying to have a go at Jose Garfias. My apologies. Taparis is a little further up the road, still dueling with the Australian driver Noah Lyle, who of course races under a British licence, but is Aussie through and through. Onto the back straight. Barnard, Tarpanen, Boyer, Kamada, Stenzorn, Bora, Ugachukwu. Then Badua in the Fubazaka Nile ahead of James Wharton, the Australian, just outside the points. Then Bruno Delpino. It's so close now in this competition. If you want to be fast, you've got to be flawless. Just to give you an indication of that, from 1st to 14th in qualifying, less than a second covered them. And that's the battle between Taparis and Lyle. Taparis is going to go the long way round. Lyle's not going to leave him a lot of room, and the back end kicks out on the XL. And that's enough for Costa Taparis to get the job done. Thanks, mate, I'm off. So Costa Taparis gets the move, and that's Arvid Lindblad getting through. Thanks, mate, I'm going to have this position as well. So Arvid Lindblad's determined stance is very clear. He wants to get into 10th position and pick himself a reverse grid pole again, like he did in Yas Marina. Here comes Noah Lyle, battling for the move on the inside of Arvid Lindblad. Not going to happen. Arvid Lindblad is no slouch, wasn't born yesterday. He's going to keep himself in the position once more. So the two new drivers at Santalok are going together. That's Noah Stromsted of Denmark and Jose Garfias of Mexico. They obviously replace Matteo De Ballo. And on the inside line, I was in the middle of a point, but Liuraki is too busy having a great duel with John Bennett. Had to interrupt myself. I will now come back to say what I was going to say, because it was Pedro Clero and Matteo De Palo at Santalok. Now, of course, it's Garfias and Stromstead. Still side by side, these two. Liu still trying to take on John Bennett. Bennett absolutely resolute. You're not getting through. And so Liudicki goes wide, but Liudicki still commits and is actually able to get ahead. So that'll be up for a debate. Interesting to see. Whoa, big power slide in the background from Alexander Kasava. The back end of the pinnacle almost overtaking the front before he even had any warning about what was going to happen as a result. So that got very messy as Jessica Skater and Giovanni Mascio are trying to get back into the hunt. Meanwhile, Barnard, Tarpanen, Boya and Kamara. No change in the top four. Stenzon getting a little bit closer to them. And Ugachukwu starting to put some pressure on Nikhil Bora now for P6. The two PHMAIX teammates almost get into the wars. Badua and Inthravubazak. And up the inside, that is the move from Zachary David. He takes on the MP of Bruno Del Pino. So he overtakes the Euro Cup 3 rookie champion last year. So Zachary David, who fought his way to a podium in round one of the championship. The young man from Malta, who of course also has his roots in Asia. Doing an absolutely terrific job so far. Still, the duel continues on. But now there are more problems for Bruno Del Pino in the shape of the Australian driver Costa Tabares. So Tabares has a bit of a look. Try and take on Bruno Del Pino. James Wharton looking rather humdrum, unfortunately, in 11th place. Not quite able to match the pace of the top 10. And Arvid Lindblad trying to work his way further forward. No safety cars. A few drivers probably would have been banking on them in race one. But nothing. Everybody's as clean as a whistle right now. Great to see that the driving standards continue to elevate. And in Formula Regional Middle East, it's one of the most competitive championship fields we've had in a long time. Down to the braking zone. Heavy braking down the crest into that very tight apex. You carry a lot of speed through there, though. And further back, we've got Alex Abkasava dueling with John Bennett into the first corner. Abkasava just trying to keep the pinnacle pointing in a straight line. It can get very loose around here. It's a very sandy circuit, this one. Don't forget, we're right in the heart of Dubai, in downtown Motor City. It's not too far away from the desert dunes, so a few gusts of wind in the wrong direction, and all of a sudden you've got sand on the circuit. Taylor Barnard and Duke Katapanen pulling clear of the rest of the field. Marty Boyer just not able to match their pace at the moment. But Taylor Barnard will never have been more determined to beat Tapanen after the heartache and misery of round two and his absolute dejection after practice yesterday when he blew an engine. He must have thought the championship was over. Now, suddenly, he's been galvanised into thinking, do you know what? I can win this race. I can win this championship. Never say die, never say never. I'm going for it. So this is, all of a sudden, a fabulous run. So Barnard trying to get well clear of Tapanen. There is Boya versus Kamara, Spain versus Brazil, Pinnacle versus Mumbai Falcons. So some good racecraft. Hoping for a little bit more of a duel as they come off the turn. Rafael Kamara hoping to get a decent run off the corner. And the hope that he's just going to continue this run down the straight into the final hairpin. Passing the Radisson Blue and then onto the main straight. Parallel to the main shopping precinct in Motor City. When you walk down that main street and you hear those race cars going past, honestly, if you feel like a kid in a candy store, it's where you're meant to be. Kamara has another look at Boya. Not close enough to do the deed. Has to wait a little moment as he continues to charge his way forward. Tarpanen looking a little bit racy behind Barnard again. And Kamara looking like he's going to threaten Marty Boya's position on the podium very soon. You can't afford to rush these things. 17 minutes and 40. So still, there's a lot to do and a lot to debate on this circuit. But Tarpanen is staying close enough to Barnard that he's going to be a genuine threat. And this is what Taylor Barnard doesn't want. He really can't afford to have Tukka the Tiger on his toes, pushing him all the way. This is going to be fascinating down the back straight. Barnard, one eye in front of him, one eye on the mirrors. And Tukka the Tiger is the kind of driver who, if he's got a car underneath him, he's confident he'll have a think about the lead. He has a little aspect move. Kamara's going to go for it on the inside of Marty Boyer. He's got to commit. They bang wheels and Marty Boyer drifts wide. Kamara gets the place. Well, that was absolutely no-nonsense, brutal from Rafael Kamara. And now Marty Boyer's going to try and fend off from Martinius Stenzorn. Boyer is not going to be happy in the way that shaped up. But Rafael Kamara clearly deciding he'd had enough of steering at the rear wing of Marty Boyer. Stenson's going to try and commit here. Boyer completely moves across to the inside white line. Stenson's trying to second guess where he's going. I have to say, in this field, rather a lot of switching from one side of the circuit to the other. We saw that in F4, of course, as well. It's one thing to try and block an overtaking move, but you've got to be very careful how far over that limit you go. Tarpanen still sticking to Taylor Barnard's rear wing like glue. Boyer trying to shake off Stenzorn. Pulling out of the draft deliberately, but Stenzorn's got a fast car underneath him, and if Boyer's car is unsettled after the contact, meanwhile Tarpanen having a go Barnard round the outside of turn one. Nice try, but Taylor Barnard is not going to be caught half asleep today, but it is going to set up another run. Tarpanen's got a chance here. Barnard's got to stay strong. He's got to stay hungry. Tarpanen could have him at a moment's notice. Barnard's going to get the car across. Nicely handled. So Tarpanen still really edging an opportunity. As meanwhile, further back, there's still battles going on further down the field. But Barnard hanging on in front of Tarpanen. And there's Kamara, now comfortable in third. Boyer has got the car back together again in front of Stenzorn. But I'd be very interested to see that move again from Rafael Kamara later on, because that was incredibly forceful from the Brazilian to move up into third position. And now Stenzorn could try a trick or two on Marty Boyer. Surely he's not going to go for the stick shot. I wouldn't have put him past the Norwegian. Once he's decided he's going for it, he's going for it. Let's see the tyre lines that are left when he gets on the power. Fractionally earlier than Marty Boyer, he leaves 2 lines of rubber down on the race circuit as he gets on the power, and the wheels just spin, and the carcass of the tyre threatens to come up over the top of the rubber. Meanwhile, Nikhil Bora is a cork in the bottle. Ogachukwu and Badua are very close behind him. So there's a couple of potential battles that are raging. Here comes the move from Ogachukwu. He's taking on Bora. Watch for Badua round the outside. Badua had to think about it. Not quite able to get the traction down, unfortunately. Taz in the Vivazak now has a chance. So watch Turn through the turn. Known in every team he's raced in as Turn. It's just quicker to say than Taz and Tazanapol, I guess. Off the turn. And so on to the main straight once again. Taz in the Vivazak having a size up of Brandon Badua, while Badua thinks about Ogachukwu, while Ogachukwu gets frustrated, sat behind Nikhil Bora. Stalemate in a lot of these battles. Lindblad, they're definitely getting closer to Del Pino and Tavares, but it's very much even Stevens in these battles. The problem is dirty air is still a factor in these cars. You've got to be very brave if you're going to go for these moves. Now there is Galyugia, who finds himself in front of Jesse Carrasquedo. So what's happened to the Mexican? Carrasquedo finds himself all the way down at the back. Not entirely sure what happened there, but certainly that's not where we're used to seeing Jesse Carrasquedo. Whoops! Kamara goes right off the race circuit. Manages to get it back together again, but you've got to be careful when you're flirting with those track limits, especially if you manage to gain time from doing so. If you go off the circuit, that's one thing. If you keep your foot in, well, that's where you're going to get a benefit that you shouldn't have, ultimately. I think there's a problem developing for Yaroslav Vezalaho. The XL driver's car looks a little bit out of sorts as it goes through. I've got the benefit of a few different angles to look at, which gives me that little bit of extra information. But certainly it's stalemate at the moment between Bora, Ogachukwu and Badua. Ogachukwu looking for that line. Still unable. And look at that, you can see a few spots of rain now. This is a potential game changer. We're not expecting rain to be too heavy. I spoke to a couple of the locals and they said it's probably not going to be very heavy if it breaks. But if it breaks in Dubai, it can get very heavy here very quickly. Partially because of how rare rain is, but there's this fabulous system called cloud seeding, where essentially you fire salt and iodine crystals into the atmosphere and it connects. The chemical reaction produces rain, and it's actually increased the country's rainfall by 30 to 35%. Yes, that was my best Michael Fish impression. I'll get back to talking about racing cars, but there is a relevance, because if it does rain, then all of a sudden these guys are going to go into completely unfamiliar territory. All the track time they've done so far on this circuit, especially the rookies, has been in dry conditions. If it starts raining in the middle of the race, things are going to go absolutely haywire. So now we've got a situation for Ugo Ugachukwu. He really desperately feels like he can get the move here on Nikhil Bora and get well clear. If he can't actually make the move, then it doesn't make a difference. That fabulous plain silver helmet, very much the homage to the Andretti's. And there is the 15 of Brandon Madoua. Running in behind Ugachukwu, and then Tazin Vivazak behind him is the Santalok of Teofil Nal. Definitely not on the same sort of upward trend that we saw from him at Yas Marina. He's come crashing back to earth with a thud, has the Frenchman. But don't forget, he's still got plenty of talent. And 10th position will give him a reverse grid pole for the later race this afternoon. So I was going to say tomorrow, but tomorrow's race 3. This afternoon is race 2. Tarpanen's still with Barnard, and still those spots of water on the lens. That's not come from the cars, that's come from the sky. So it's touch and go as to whether those clouds are actually going to turn into anything dodgy for the drivers here in Dubai. Go up the camber of that hairpin. It is a lot more intense, that hairpin, than a lot of people give you credit for. You don't really get to see it much. I've done a few laps on this circuit as a passenger in the past. And I tell you what, this place really doesn't do justice to actually being here and taking a lap or two of the circuit for yourself. Then you really get the true indication of the uphill and down dale, the peaks and troughs and the rising of the crests and elevations of this circuit. It's very underrated. I almost kind of felt that during COVID-19 this place would have held a good Formula 1 race. Here we go, this is Ugachukwu taking on Nikhil Bora. He's got a good run off the turn, and he's absolutely run rings around him on the far side. But Bora has hoped that Ugachukwu is going to make the mistake, and that's exactly what's happened. He's committed. Ugachukwu tried to squeeze him, hold him back. No, you don't, says Nikhil Bora. Try another trick. I'm going for this. And Bora is going to have to try something else now to try and take on Ugachukwu. Can Ugachukwu run the inside line and hold that gauntlet? He does for the moment. But there is increased droplets of water on the camera lens. Maybe it's starting to get a little heavy out there. But fair play to Ugachukwu. That was a bold move on the Indian Nikhil Bora, and he's managed to make it work. Fierce driving from Ugachukwu. That's why McLaren favour him. He was always a fabulous competitor in the karting world. Did a great job in F4 last year, now stepping up to Formula Regional. Here comes Brandon Madoua. He's now going to get his run on Nikhil Bora. Don't tell me he's going to get both of them! He very nearly did. And he manages to complete the move on Nikhil Bora. So that was very nicely handled. He made it look as though he was going to go for 2, but he had 1 in mind all along. Bit of a twitch from both Bora and Vivazak. You can see there, look, spots of rain are elevating. Look at how close Tarpanen's got to Barnard now. Did Barnard make a mistake? He's the first one on the scene if it is starting to get wet out there. So Tarpanen goes alongside again. He's never going to make that overtaking move, but once more he goes slow in, fast out. If he can get a good exit off these 2 right-handers, then the victory could still be on for Tuka Tarpanen. And Tuka the Tiger is trying to get his run off the final corner. He's got an excellent run off the turn, and Barnard's going to be running scared down the main straight. Surely Tuka Tarpanen's going to have his best shot at getting past Taylor Barnard now. Side by side, Barnard, Tarpanen. Britain versus Finland, PHM AIX versus Race GP, and Tarpanen is squeezed in turn 1. He can't get the move, tries to get the switcheroo off the turn, the faster line. Barnard's having to defend. Tuka the Tiger is taking on Taylor Barnard, the British Bulldog. Through they come. And still, the Bulldog fends off the Tiger. Barnard doing a great job. Tuka Tarpanen likewise. They are absolutely the equal of the other. Both men have Formula 1 written all over them. Tuka Tarpanen has to come back and try again. Taylor Barnard's held him off for long enough. And Taylor Barnard knows if he gets beaten by Tuka Tarpanen at this stage of the season, the psychological upswing for the Finn is devastating. He's got to beat him to re-establish some order. Now to the braking zone again. So far, so good for Barnard ahead of Tarpanen, then Kamara, then Boyer, then Stenzorn. Long gap back to Ugachukwu. Took him a long time to get through past Bora. And not only has Madoua got through, so too is Vivazak. So Bora's now down to 9th. And the reverse grid pole is still with Teofil Nal, unless James Wharton unlocks the move. A big launch, but the Aussie can't get there. And watch out, here comes Zachary David. Zachary David wants to take reverse grid pole. Now there's 4 of them battling for it. Here comes Bruno Del Pino, and watch for Taparis. And in the background, you've got Lindblad. They all want reverse grid pole. They all feel they've got a claim to it. And look at the water. Look at the drops of rain that are coming down on the circuit now. It's every man for himself. Niall holds on. Wharton's got to defend here from Zach David. He hugs the inside line. David's got to go long and switch back to the inside. Wharton's there to cover it. Del Pino holding on very tightly from Taparis and Lindblad. Stalemate once again, but it's definitely raining now here in Dubai. It's not heavy, but it's enough to be psychological. So still the duel continues. The drivers are having a very tough time of it to try and duel away for these final points positions, but crucially also for the reverse grid pole for race 2. Only the top 10 get reversed, and that man, Teofil Nile, at the head of the pack, is in position to do it. Lindblad makes the launch on Taparis. He's going to come from a long way back. Taparis very nearly bangs wheels with Bruno Del Pino. So Lindblad has to hang back, try again. Taparis going the long way round on Del Pino. So Del Pino in the orange and black MP Motorsport with the blue and black machine of Costa Taparis, then the Red Bull colours of Arvid Lindblad, and right behind him there is a strong offensive now from Noah Lyle, the Australian. Lindblad attacks, Taparis goes wide, he's not able to get the move. Lyle is now going to have a hunt on the inside of Arvid Lindblad. Can he go for the inside line? They're going to be very close as they come off the turn. And they bang wheels! They've locked together! And Lyle and Lindblad go off the road! Lindblad tries to return himself back in front of Noah Lyle. What are you doing? We've just ruined our race now! Arvid Lindblad will be spitting feathers! Up to the inside. He's going to try and establish himself back on Noah Lyle. You've just ruined any chance I might have had of scoring points in race 1 or 2. So now I'm going to ensure you're never getting past me. No chance. Not going to happen. Lindblad runs deep. Watch out for Noah Stromsted as well behind these two. Stromsted can actually get past both of them if he keeps himself sharp-witted. Lyle gets back on the inside of Lindblad again. But Lindblad will have the inside for the left-hander they're approaching. Is it going to be enough? Oh my goodness, Lyle's going to beat it to it. Noah Lyle got a better run off the turn and he beats Lindblad to the corner anyway. And here comes Stromsted. I wonder if Lindblad's carrying damage. Stromsted is going to go high side on the curbs, nearly slides off the road. Lindblad is having a nightmare out there. So now Stromsted's got to try and hang back. And now around the outside comes Liu Key. Liu Key absolutely hammers it home. Nothing Stromsted could do about it. So Liu Key is now the next one to take on Lindblad. Terrific racing everywhere you look in Formula Regional Middle East. Still the battles are raging. And now up the inside, Liu trying to shake off Stromsted again. Stromsted can't get the run on Arvid Lindblad, and he can't get back on terms with Liu. So it's Lindblad, Liu, Stromsted. Great racing, but it's not where Arvid Lindblad wants to be at all. He didn't want to be in the race for 16th position. He wanted to be in the race for the victory. So through they come again. Just trying to sort themselves out without incident, without too much drama. We've only got a handful of minutes left of this race. So at the end of this lap, I think we're only going to get one more before we get the final lap. Arvid Lindblad has been looking so crestfallen since he came into Formula Regional Middle East. Of course, he's going to be racing in Formula 3 this year. All the advice I would give him is look at what happened with Oliver Behrman. He came and did a couple of rounds in Formula Regional, couldn't get on with the car at all, but it was all about prep for F3. He went straight into F3 and he was on the pace. So even if he's not going to be competitive here, that doesn't mean he won't be sensational in F3 later in the year. Back to the front. Barnard versus Tarpanen, take 3. They duelled on the opening lap. They duelled a few laps ago. Looks like there's time for one more brawl. Last year we had the fantastic duel at Dubai Autodrome race 1 between Gabriele Mini and Dini Beganovic. They're now both in F3. These two are looking to upstage them. We've still got at least 2 more laps to go, plus the additional lap by the look of it. They crossed the line with 2:24 on the clock, so I would do the math and say there's 3 laps to go. So Tuka the Tiger, once again, having to have the patience of a saint sat behind Taylor Barnard. He's going to go at him. Here they come again. And there is once again Rafael Kamara having scarpered well clear of Marty Boyer. He's staying in this just in case there's fisticuffs between these two. He's actually gaining on them. So Rafael Kamara might actually be in for the win here, especially if those two get feisty with each other. So this is absolutely sensational. The top three have got well clear of Boyer and Stenzorn. We're going to have a look at a replay. This is how Kamara did the deed on Boyer. Brutal. Absolutely assertive. No, Mari, I'm getting through. And elsewhere, this is the move from Ugachukwu on Nikhil Bora. Watch this. Beautiful. Yes, he got it wrong on the exit, but he was assertive enough on the retaliation. There wasn't really much Nikhil Bora could do about it. Ugachukwu absolutely annihilating him on the way through the next S's. So tough, so brutal. And here's the move from Brandon Badua to get the run on Nikhil Bora. That was brave, really brave from the Italian. Excellent work. And James Wharton so nearly putting himself out of the race there with Teofil Nal. Just about left each other enough space. And that's how the melee began for the pole position in the reverse grid race. Now here comes Tarpanen. The gap has actually opened up a little bit between Barnard and Tarpanen. This is good news for Taylor Barnard. He goes into what I think is the penultimate lap. So this is going to be a very calculated duel. But this is going to be a really exciting run for Taylor Barnard now if he can get this victory nailed, because that galvanises him back into a race-winning position. And for PHM AIX, that gives them a really strong start. They took a win in the F4 UAE race earlier on with Nikita Bedrin. Now they get to do so potentially with Taylor Barnard in Formula Regional Middle East. So what a start for PHM AIX. Everybody down there is going to be absolutely delirious. I was talking to a few members of the team yesterday, including the former IndyCar driver Mikel Aloshin, who is racing with them in this is. Oh, we've got a car stopped out on the circuit. It's one of the Mumbai Falcons. It's James Wharton. James Wharton has stopped out on track. So James Wharton, that's at turn 1. So James Wharton's had a problem. Now, is that mechanical or was there some contact? Because he's abandoned the car on the edge of the circuit. Now, that could be yellow flags. That could be covered by yellows. I'm not sure that's going to need a safety car because he's pulled it well clear of the circuit. He's managed to extricate himself pretty quickly. So I'm hoping that that's going to be covered with yellows. I'm hoping that's not going to be safety car. Barnard still struggling to get the car turned in. So Dukka the Tiger could have one more shot at him. But Taylor Barnard is pushing that car to within an inch of his life. The PHM AIX squad, so dependent but also so trusting in Taylor Barnard. They know this kid has got the talent. They know this kid has got the skills. He's not a reserve driver in Formula E with Neo McLaren for nothing. The boy is honestly one of the rawest, purest talents in single-seater racing on the climb to Grand Prix. And there's so many people across Britain who want him to get there. Last lap begins, and this will be very telling of his talent. Can he hold on in front of Tuukka Tarpanen and Rafael Kamara, both members of the Ferrari Driver Academy? Taylor Barnard really deserves to be in a race driver academy, in my opinion. If you're watching Williams, if you're watching McLaren, if you're watching Aston Martin, pick this boy up before somebody else does. Taylor Barnard. Excellent execution of these S's for the moment. Tuukka the Tiger, still keeping himself present and correct. Still no updates as to what happened to James Wharton, but there is the confirmation. We're on the last lap. So it really is now or never for Tuukka Tarpanen. If he wants to get the win away from Taylor Barnard, he's going to have to dig deep and deliver something special. The Bulldog versus the Tiger. Barnard versus Tarpanen. PHM AIX versus Race GP. Britain versus Finland. Down the back straight. Rafael Kamara still doing well in third to keep with them as close as possible. And then Boyer and Stenzorn at stalemate at the moment. So still they race for supremacy, but it isn't going to change between Boyer and Stenzorn. He's got enough of a gap over the Norwegian. Fourth position will be his. And in 10th position is still going to be Teofil Nal, so expect the Frenchman to be in reverse grid pole. But this is an important race for Taylor Barnard to finish up. Tuukka Tarpanen is still coming at him. It's not done yet. There's still a few crucial corners, and Tarpanen feels he's got a good car underneath him. He's got to try and push Taylor Barnard into the mistake. Down to the braking zone. Taylor Barnard's whip won't crack. Can Tuukka Tarppanen pull something out of the bag? Final 2 corners, through the right, down the drop. Surely Taylor Barnard isn't going to mess this up now. He comes out of the final turn. He's glued to the road like a slot car out of the final turn, and it's Taylor Barnard that gets the victory in fine style. Brilliant work from Taylor Barnard. Tuukka Tarppanen in second. Third is Rafael Kamara. Brilliant racing and a safety car free race. Excellent stuff. Boyer in fourth, Stenzon in fifth, from Ugachukwu, Brandon Badoa to Zanapol in the Verbazak, ninth for Nikhil Bora, and in P10 and the reverse grid pole is the Frenchman Théophile Nile for Santalok Racing, who could turn this into his second win of the season. But for Taylor Barnard, it is a very important victory. It is win number 3 of this season. He becomes the most winning driver of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship again. 3 wins to Tarppanen's 2 and Théophile Nile's 1, along with Arvid Lindblad, who also has a win from the opening round, as the last few stragglers come home. But Taylor Barnard becomes the most decorated driver of the season in terms of race victories. And it's his 4th podium of the year as well. Identical to Tuukka Tarppanen, who also has 4 podium finishes. 2 seconds and 2 firsts. He still leads the championship, Tuukka Tarppanen, but now the gap has come down from 31 points to 24. That's a big scalp for Taylor Barnard. 1 DNF for Tarppanen and a victory for Barnard now, and it's back in his hands. Such an important race to win for Taylor Barnard. He needed to hold everything at bay. He needed to keep himself strong. He needed to be mentally tough. He needed to make sure that Tarppanen wasn't going to make him bulk under the pressure. And what a sensational run. The comments are flooding in about Taylor Barnard's prowess in this one. Greg Sakaki, BHM, should put Barnard in F2. I have to say, I couldn't agree more. What a performance right from the start. Tarppanen got a belter off the line, faster than Kamara. But immediately he decided he was going to go for broke on Barnard. He had a good run, he had an opportunity, he decided to go for it. You're a racing driver, you see a gap, you make it happen. Barnard is on the back foot here. Tarppanen's actually in the lead, but Barnard asserts himself. No, I'm not going to lose this. Excellent work. Forceful, but fair. Firm, but sporting. And an absolutely terrific race. I will pause and give you the highlights of Taylor Barnard's fabulous run in front of Tuukka Tarppanen. You'll see some great overtakes in the next couple of minutes, including this terrific duel between Barnard and Tarppanen on the opening lap. There were more to come, of course, but we're going to get ourselves prepared and ready for the podium ceremony, where we're going to see Rafael Kamara in 3rd position, Tuukka Tarppanen in 2nd, and the man on the top spot is the British Bulldog, Taylor Barnard. Falcon. The championship leader continues to bag good points and continues his epic run. But in first position for the United Kingdom, Taylor Barnard. Another brilliant win for the BHM AIX racing team today, and a strong result for him in fabulous fashion. Now it's my honour to invite Mr. Amer Khan Sahab, the board member and managing director of Union Properties. He will make his way to the podium, and he will be our dignitary who will present the trophies to our fantastic 3 racing drivers on the podium in this first Formula Regional Middle East Championship race of the weekend on the Dubai Autodrome. Firstly, to our driver in 3rd position for Brazil and Mumbai Falcons, Rafael Kamara. And secondly, in 2nd position for Finland and Race GP, Tukka Tapanen. And thirdly, for our race winner for the United Kingdom and PHM AIX, Taylor Barnard. And also for the Rookie Cup winner, that goes to Tukka Tapanen. A fabulous performance and a great race. Always wonderful when you get to have a green to flag race play out in fantastic fashion. Great battles, amazing driving, and some wonderful displays. And guess what, folks? We have 2 more of those races to come this weekend from Formula Regional Middle East. They'll give us plenty of excitement and badinage out on the circuit, I'm sure. So, for the drivers, they get to have one final podium celebration picture. And then, of course, they will prepare themselves ready for race 2. Don't expect too much spray from them because they want to make sure that their race suits stay dry. So they will obviously have a race later on today. But that wraps up things for race 1 from the Formula Regional Middle East Championship. There's more where that came from this afternoon. They'll get back out onto the circuit again here at Dubai Autodrome. From me, Jake Sanson, we'll be back later for more great action.
It was all worth it.